Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement. Hello, my dedicated viewers. I would like to welcome you to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name, Philip Sidney, your host. Today with me is Mr. Cletus Alexander, who is our Crop Protection Officer in the Crop Research Division attached to the Ministry of Agriculture. He is not new to this program. He has been here many times. He is well versed in our discussion today. And of course, we are looking at Pesticide Awareness Week. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me on the program, Mr. Sidney.
I know you've been very articulate in times past, because you are I must say the master when it comes to pesticides and to give information out to the public. But every year we are having Pesticide Week, which is an awareness program. Why an awareness program? Why every year, and why a whole week?
Well, to begin with, this week, the Pesticide and Toxic Chemical Control Board, in collaboration with other pesticide boards of the Caribbean, we celebrating Pesticide Awareness Week. And the chosen theme for Pesticide Awareness Week is use alternatives to toxic household agricultural pesticides for a better life and environment. Our actions are our future. Okay. Well, as we all know, pesticides, they are critical inputs in agricultural production. There are lots of benefits from pesticide use, but there are lots of disbenefits as well. And to make it worse, we have a problem with the indiscriminate use of pesticides. So we need to make persons out there aware of, yes, the benefits, the disbenefits, and how they can improve in terms of pesticide management in St. Lucia. So hence the reason for this very important theme. Alternatives. Yes, we've been using pesticides for a long time, but what we have to understand is this. Probably 50, 60 years ago, pesticides, persons were not using pesticides. And the pesticide, basically the growth of those toxic pesticides in agriculture, in the households, as public health pesticides, basically started, as I said before, from the Second World War. So we need to make persons, as I said, aware of those things. So this week we're having Pesticide Awareness Week. We're hoping that as many persons as possible, though we know COVID-19 is around, but we're having more online dissemination of the information. So we're expecting that by disseminating the information to key persons like the extension officers and so on, other key persons in society, the information will spread to other persons out there.
I recognize the starting of the theme. It's also the same theme with World Food Day. Our actions, our future. So it's an FAO initiative?
Basically, as I said, it's in collaboration with the CGPC. But FAO, we also working under the umbrella of the FAO as well. FAO, CAFSA and so on. So it may be possible that that's how it is.
Yeah, it was this year's theme is captured under this with, of course, other areas below it. But over the years, when you have had a week of pesticide awareness, do you all go back and evaluate and to realize what the impact that education, that awareness has brought about?
Well, yes, because awareness is about change, making persons aware, building capacity and so on. No matter, yes, I'm saying it would have been ideal to have as probably many persons as possible. But to us, the persons promoting to me, the more the merrier. So we're looking at every year for the growth of this activity. And we've been seeing positive benefits in terms of more persons being aware of pesticides out in the environment, in the households and so on.
So what are the program really for the week? I mean, do you have a specified, I know COVID has prevented you from doing a lot, but do you, in light of that, what are the programs?
Well, we have your show, Agriculture on the Move, because we believe, well, many persons out there are watching Agriculture on the Move. And we have more online dissemination of the information. We have lots of information like videos, brochures, and so on that we disseminating online. Because that is the way to go, because the face-to-face interaction is basically, for the time being, a no-no.
And who are your target audience out there?
Pesticide is everybody's business. Although we use pesticides as agricultural inputs, we use pesticides at our homes, we use pesticides in the hotels, we use pesticides everywhere. So it's everybody's business, that issue of pesticide use.
Yeah, but are you all, throughout the year, I'm hoping the week of awareness is not the only activity or activities that you have to bring to the fore in terms of awareness. What do you all have throughout the year to actually educate the people out there who are using pesticides? The right way to use it, the wrong way to use it?
Well, the research department, on a continuous basis, we have capacity building programs with the farmers on pesticide use and safety. That is basically it. We go on all the different regions, we have group discussions with the farmers and so on.
I know schools are not in operation, but when the schools were in operation, do you all actually take it to the schools to educate the young ones so that they too can sensitize the parents and farmers?
Yes, because I know for sure about 2 years ago, the Environmental Health Division, because they are represented on the Pesticides and Toxic Chemical Control Board. I know they had a program on some rat trap competition. These are some other activities you can introduce to the schools. And that program was basically teaching people about the IPM, Integrated Pest Management, because everybody, they were controlling rodents using the pesticides, the clay rats and so on. But if you use an integrated approach where you clean the area and you do certain things, it means the rat population will be at a population where there will be no need for those toxic pesticides that we are seeing out there.
So in other words, you're looking at alternative use of the harsh chemicals.
Yes, basically the FIM is saying use the alternatives, because there are alternatives available to some of the toxic pesticides.
And you're referring to the organic chemicals?
Yes, some are organic, but some of the, take for example, the charcoal that we use out there, you can do what is called biochar, and that can control certain pests. So you can use your little garlic, you can blend the garlic. It can act as a repellent.
Right.
You can use what is called pyrethroids. They are plants that will repel certain insects for you.
Right.
So we're looking at the alternatives. But the problem with alternatives, that is something new. Persons just start to research about the alternatives. So we need to do some evaluation of the alternatives as well.
But do you have alternatives now on the market so that the farmers can use?
Yeah, there are quite a lot of alternatives. Persons now are registering a lot of alternative pesticides. We have a number of alternative pesticides on the approved pesticide list for St. Lucia.
Okay, so now to get those chemicals registered, you mentioned about you are registrar on the board.
Yes.
Okay, tell us the function of that board.
Well, basically, the pesticide board is the regulator of pesticide in St. Lucia. The board is responsible for pesticide registration. The board is responsible for issuing the import permits to those persons who want to import. The board is responsible for monitoring of those pesticides. The board is, because you have to have an idea as to those persons, whether they are complying with the Pesticide Act. So we do continuous monitoring to, especially the agri shops, to find out whether some of the pesticides that are on the shelves, whether they are registered or not. So the board, it's not a board who deal with the entire life cycle management of the pesticide. I would have liked to see the board dealing with pesticide from registration to disposal. So basically the board deals with importation and registration, but not disposal of pesticides in the environment.
Supposing there is a chemical that you all allow to be used, and over time you realize that, they found out there are problems with it, okay? I know there are chemicals that are banned over in some of the other countries, and we are still using them, right? Can you explain this?
Well, basically, a pesticide can be banned in England, just an example, or Australia, and we still have it on the approved pesticide. These are different conditions.
Okay.
But by right, after the pesticide is registered, at registration, you register the pesticide based on the information that is available.
Right.
But as you know, we have smart scientists out there, better tools, so they are able to do further assessments of the pesticide. And it's the duty of the pesticide board to recommend it, because the pesticide board cannot ban a pesticide. You can recommend to the minister for banning of a pesticide. But we've done this before, it has worked. So we're hoping that the pesticides that we have on the list, after further review, they are not as dangerous as some of the pesticides that we have not registered on the list.
Okay. But if there's a chemical that definitely you all ban, okay, how you all get the distributors to take it off the shelves? And when that is taken off the shelves, how is it being disposed?
Well, that's the issue, disposal. After, as I said, it's the minister that can ban the pesticide.
Right,
so
fine.
if you decide to ban a pesticide, first of all, you will stop the importation of the pesticide.
Great.
All import permits will cease from this thing. We will not write any import permit for such pesticide. Now, when this is done, you have to write to all the agribusiness shops to make sure that that pesticide is not on the shelf.
Right.
Also, it will not make any sense that you ban a pesticide in St. Lucia and products coming from overseas are treated with that pesticide. It means the products coming into the country treated with that pesticide will also be banned. It will not be allowed in the country because it's banned in St. Lucia.
So how do you all do that surveillance on that?
Well, that is the big issue. Right now, present as we speak, I know we've hired a research analytical chemist at our department, and she's looking into this thing to do monitoring of the pesticides out there to make sure that the MRL, because after you use a pesticide, sometimes the residue, when you take that pesticide to market that product, the product to market, it means you may have some residues, pesticide residue on that. So we have persons now looking to test, do off and on check, go to the market and different places and check the MRL on these products.
Well said. We'll do for our first break. You are watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
For effective chemical treatment of black sigatoka, practice routine preventative maintenance of all tools and equipment, especially the mist blower, to ensure proper functioning. Clean sprayer after use and service the machine regularly as recommended by the manufacturer. Whenever you are using pesticides to control black sigatoka disease, personal protection and safety measures must be followed. Spray operators must always wear proper protective gear. Before or when handling pesticides, put on your overalls, respirator, goggles, boots, and gloves to avoid contact with the skin, inhalation, and ingestion of pesticides.
For more information on how to treat and control black sigatoka on your farm or in your backyard garden, contact the Black Sigatoka Management Unit at 451-5491, 451-5894, or email bpmu@candw.lc. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with with the International Cooperation and Development Fund of the Republic of China on Taiwan.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. With me, Mr. Cletus Alexander, who is our Crop Protection Officer, and he's also the Registrar of Pesticides here in St. Lucia. My concern, I'm sure people are asking the question, Cletus, what is happening to a chemical that is banned and it is still, they are still in containers? How are you going to dispose of that chemical for this chemical not to be used in the future?
Okay. In St. Lucia, and probably the Caribbean, you don't have the facilities to destroy the chemicals. So the last time we had a problem with this, it was through the intervention of the FAO. We were able to package those obsolete chemicals and ship to somewhere in Europe for destruction. But again, if you, as a registrar, you know well, you have a problem with a pesticide, you take the phase out approach where you try to gradually phase out the chemical. And when you believe well, you have sufficient information. When you believe well, the stock is very low, you put the ban on the chemical, so that chemical, you're going to collect all the chemical and store the chemical in one location. So that when a project, like as I said, like the FAO, when the FAO have a project on pesticide disposal, they will take those pesticides to some site in Europe or some other place for destruction.
Yeah, but why a phase of approach, in the sense that if they recognize that chemical is toxic to humans, and they know probably the negative results that it has, why not take it off the shelf one time? Why have a phased approach?
Well, let's put it that way. All pesticides are dangerous.
Correct.
To human health. So it's when the information becomes available, that is the time you're going to take the decision against that particular pesticide.
Okay.
As I said, at a board level, what you can do is present the case to the minister, and the minister will take the decision. That is the law in St. Lucia. The pesticide board. Take for example, last year we had a problem with chlorpyrifos in the bananas. Remember, we had a problem about a number of shipments were rejected.
Right.
And it took us about 2 months to take that particular decision.
But they were still using it?
Well, they had no choice, but they could not use it, because had they done so, the bananas would be rejected in Europe, and the market had already taken the decision that if they continued, that would have been it for bananas. So they had no choice than to stop. Now let's assume, well, it was something you had to do immediately. Take for example, it was a very toxic pesticide that we decided, well, we would have removed that pesticide from the market immediately, and we don't have the facilities to destroy these pesticides. That's the problem with us. The problem with pesticide in St. Lucia, the Caribbean, and the world, and some other countries, is that yes, we're using the pesticide, but you don't have the facilities to destroy the pesticide. If something happens, it means that pesticide will have a problem in destroying the pesticide. Where are you going to store the pesticide? You cannot dispose some of the pesticides that we have. The normal garbage truck, the Solid Waste Management Authority, I don't think they will collect pesticides and take it to the,
because it's very dangerous for disposing. Yeah. But over the years, you all have been having demonstrations with the farmers for the safe use of pesticides, the PPEs, etc. Going out there, do you all still see that farmers and farm workers are still not adhering to the procedures?
Well, to me, that is one of the sorry stories of pesticide use in St. Lucia. When you go out there and you see in 2021, having done so many programs on pesticide use over the years, all the data is on the pesticide label. When you see persons now in 2021 applying pesticides without gloves, without boots, without the necessary protective clothing, So you either sit myself whether all the programs that we've been having,
Is it waste of
whether
time?
it's making any sense. But it's making sense because some persons are
Yes,
are getting the
yes,
information.
yes,
that is
yes.
the point.
That's the
You
point,
can take
yeah.
the donkey to the water,
You can
but
make
you
it
cannot force
drink.
the donkey to drink. That is the point I'm making. So it's very sad to see persons now. Even this bottle there, about 2 months ago, I see a lady applying Gramaxone with one of those bottles. Just puncture a few holes in the
cork.
cover, and then the lady had the. I wonder what's happening to us in St. Lucia.
Wow.
Indiscriminate pesticide use.
Right.
That is a major concern as somebody who is involved in the risk assessment of some of these pesticides.
But apart from okay, the occasional persons committing suicide by maybe drinking, but are you all hearing of the indiscriminate use of the pesticide without PPEs? People are going to the hospitals and they're getting sick?
Well, it's happening because sometimes you use the pesticide, you feel dizzy. Person say, well, probably just a slight headache. It's the impact of the pesticide. Sometimes you go in some of the markets in the world, you consume some of the vegetables after you have a bellyache and so on. Yes, that is pesticide poisoning. Persons are not aware of those things, but it's happening.
The merchants that are selling pesticides, are they mandatory to sell PPEs?
Well, on the Pesticide Act, it's not mandatory to sell. But as the registrar, you can refuse the registration of a pesticide if you think the necessary protective equipment is not available out there. At registration, you can do that. You can also recall a pesticide if you have enough information to believe that, yes, persons are using the pesticide, but it's a danger to them. The level of exposure is so high, and the protective equipment that is required is not available in St. Lucia. You can withdraw a pesticide.
But generally, apart from being specific to a pesticide, but generally, do you all have, or do you all ensure that the merchants that are selling the pesticides are equipped in selling the PPEs?
Well, no, for now at the board we have not. Although it's
But do you think that is a serious?
Yes, as I said, it's a very serious problem. Before you apply pesticide, you must have all the mitigative measures in place, like your protective equipment, your equipment is properly calibrated, and persons don't look at these things. Even the weather condition is also important when you are applying the pesticide.
Exactly.
So we have lots of work to do still.
But where do we go with antidotes? If a pesticide is registered, after you have done all the research on the background on that pesticide, is there an antidote for each pesticide that's being produced?
Because what happens if the pesticide is this? In the pesticide, you have the active ingredient. That is what is going to deliver. That is what is going to control the insect or whatever pest you're trying to control. And there is what is called the inert ingredient.
Right.
Now, that is where the problem is. The secret, the trade secret, a manufacturer will not tell you what is the inert ingredient in a pesticide. Because they believe, as I say, it's a trade secret. Somebody can go ahead and use that secret to do their own pesticide.
Okay.
So that is an issue for us. Now, by the approach is this. If you, after using a pesticide, something happened to you, if the doctor, if you go to the hospital, the doctor will ask for the dossier on that particular pesticide. If there is mass poisoning of a particular pesticide, emergency persons, they're going to ask for what is called the dossier. That at registration, every pesticide, you have to, the registrant, you have to present a dossier to the registrar so that you can review, check the ecological hazards on human health, on animal health, on the environment, and so on. That is critical. That is a critical document that is accompanied at registration. That is what the doctors will need. And that is where they're going to get all the emergency measures to prevent harm.
But is there, for example, I remember some years ago when Gramoxone came to the fore, people were drinking Gramoxone, commit suicide. And one of the things, apparently, they sued the company and because they did not have an antidote for it at the time.
To me, they had what is called fuller earth.
Right, yeah, they call it soil, which is soil really,
Yeah,
that
soil.
they coated, right, which is clay soil,
Yeah.
right, because once again, gramoxone is contact, it's not a systemic. So when it hits the soil, it's non-reactive.
That's why it can be, yeah. It's
So then they can use soil. In other words, one of the things that we tell people, if somebody in your immediate area or immediate vicinity would drink gramoxone, the best thing to do is to get soil immediately and with water, mix that, another person to drink it. Because there is some, what they call it, some cation exchange capacity, and it will nullify the effect. So that's what I'm saying. So for gramoxone, we know there is sol.
But
they have pellets, eh? They have it in pellet form.
we will not advise that person to try this.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was told.
Right.
Okay, based on because the whole idea is you're trying, because once you drink gramoxone, immediately if you do not get something to nullify this thing or neutralize it, the person will die.
That's it for you.
Yeah, exactly. So something that is why they have the antidote. They call it sol, right? Which is soil, really soil that is coated, so you can take it in. So I was asking the same question with other chemicals, where other chemicals have some sort of antidote, right? In order, if per chance you inhale it, it falls in your mouth or whatever the case may be, something immediately on site should be able to assist before that person is taken to hospital.
Yes, as I said, several of the pesticides you have antidote, but it will be indicated on the dossier.
On the dossier, all right.
On the pesticide dossier.
All right.
Especially on the MSDS sheet.
Okay.
That is where you're going to find it.
Let's look at household use of aerosol, spraying for mosquitoes. When I was young, honestly, I never took this into consideration. I mean, some of the aerosol, they smell nice. So you spray and you stay in it, in the room where it is sprayed. Now, growing up, then I got to know, of course, how hazardous this thing is. So what do you all have in place to educate those persons out there?
Again, we advise that before you use any pesticide, you should read the pesticide label. That is very, very important.
Right.
You should not buy any pesticide if it does not have a pesticide label. So before you apply the pesticide, you will read the pesticide label. There you will know how long the pesticide will, after spraying the pesticide, how long it's going to stay in, if you're living in a house, how long the pesticide is going to stay in the house, how long, what are some of the measures that you can take to reduce the impact of the pesticide on you.
Right.
That is very important. You will get that on the pesticide label.
Okay.
But as I said, the issue for us, I repeat, is with indiscriminate pesticide use. It's like the police. You cannot police everyone in St. Lucia. The information is there. What I would encourage persons to do is read the label and use the pesticide according to what's on the label.
I was about to end. Do you have any final words to the public?
Well, as I said, it's Pesticide Awareness Week. A lot of persons now, they have a phobia for pesticides. Now, pesticide use, you can get a lot of benefits from pesticide use. And as I said earlier, when we started, there are lots of disbenefits from pesticide use.
Right.
Impact on human health, impact on the environment, impact on the soil, and so on. But it's very important that you follow advice. If you're not sure about a pesticide, you should call an agricultural officer or somebody with some knowledge on pesticide use before you apply the pesticide. Because as I said, we are killing ourselves slowly, but we're not recognizing it.
Especially the farmers who decide that they want to add more to the pesticide, in terms of the rate. That's a problem. Anyway, we have come to the end of the program. Thank you for being here, Mr. Alexander, and I wish you success, and of course continue to educate the populace as to the indiscriminate use of pesticides. Thank you again.
It was a pleasure being here.
All right.
And I hope I'm back here soon.
Definitely you'll be. You have been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing. Remember, this program is very interesting because pesticides are dangerous, very, very dangerous. So if they are not used properly, then we will suffer the consequences. Anyway, Stay tuned. We'll be back again with another program of Agriculture on the Move. Eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. I'm Philip Sidney. Goodbye.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.